Yo, you tuned into another episode of Not the Average Local Rapper, hosted by yours truly, East Shore Ridge. This episode, I'm gonna kinda pick up on what I spoke on in the previous episode as far as EPs versus singles. And then I just released the EP a couple days ago. Beats by Alpha, East Shore Ridge, United, available on all platforms. But I want to talk about releasing EPs, more so, and then maybe the next episode can be more about releasing singles. But I want to talk about like releasing the EPs though, because it's definitely like a distinct difference in releasing a whole project as opposed to releasing a single. I mean, I think it's a whole different dynamic. You know what I mean? And shit, this is EP number um, 6 within the past year and a half. So like I mean that's a lot of EPs. People would say, people have said to me, not necessarily in a bad way. I think it's all about just how you strategize it, and what you got going on, and how many people really want to hear it. You know what I mean? So I mean, I can kind of speak on my experience from it, but I think every artist will have a different way of doing things, based on how shit works for them. But you know, so I mean, I'm just speaking more on recent years. I mean, I have dropped a lot of projects in the past, but I can't really speak on the past because the way of doing things now is like so different, with the streaming. Like when I say the past, I'm talking about back when it was still CDs and that piff and all that shit. We far past them days now. They were good days, but they just don't really exist anymore. So we more in like the times of like the streaming platforms and shit. So I really just mainly speak on like the recent times. So yeah, within the past year and a half, 6 EPs and a shitload of singles as well. But like I said, I'm focused more on like the topic of EPs. So with that being said, the first of those EPs was January of my dog snoring in the background. I'm sure it's gonna pick up on this episode. So shout out to Jixie for getting her snores in on this episode. Had to make her a sponsor or something. But so I dropped the first EP in January of 2023. Um, that was about time. And then the next month I did about love, and then the next month I did about life. Reason I did it like that, was because I'm like, all right, I got a a nice little audience going right now. It was like when I was in the height of like promoting my music, and I was really starting to build my fan base up. So I'm like, this is a good time to like kind of really you know get this going. And I think this is important. Like before I even continue, I want to say like one way to know when it's time for you to drop an EP is when people start asking if you have a project out, because I think there's a big difference between saying, yeah, I got a couple songs out, and yeah, I got a couple albums out, I got a couple EPs out. There's a huge difference when you hear that as an answer to a question. So yeah, I think when people start asking like if you have a project out, I think that, and you don't, I think that's when it's time to start considering that. So and that was kind of what was happening. I had these singles out. I had Introvert out. I think Less Is More was out. Those were like two of the biggest songs, like single wise. And then I was like, all right, I'm starting to get a little traction going. Mainly with Introvert, and people will ask, do you got a project out? So I'm like, all right, I think it's time. But I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this shit, man, I'm gonna come out the gate swinging, you know. So I decided to do like that. I guess you would call like a trilogy series. Like I said, the About Time in January, About Love in February, and About Life in March. So I did them three, and like I can't say that it did bad, but I can say that I think it might have been a bit much, but at the same time, I don't think it was too much because, like, it's all about the kind of music you make. And me personally, my shit's timeless. So it's like, meaning that, it's not based off a trend or, some shit that's going on in a certain time period. So it's like, it's good for my catalog. It's like, it didn't pop off right away, which I'm fine with. Like I don't expect everything to take off right away. Like like when the music is timeless, it can take a song years, to catch fire if it's gonna catch fire. So I did them three, and then I think I came right back in like maybe June and did like a fourth EP that same year. So within 6 months, it's 4 EPs right there, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let it breathe with the EPs for a while. Maybe drop one more, at the end of the year, which I did. Boom, in December, and then we swing back around to this April, beginning of April. So that makes number 6 right there. So feeling like less than a year and a half. That's 6 right there. And like I said, a lot of singles, but I just look at it like I said, if it don't have to be listened to right now, like everybody thinking about, what's gonna happen like right after they do it. Sometimes you just gotta know that, it's there for, whenever people, gonna listen to it, it's there. So I don't think there's anything wrong, with building that catalog up with EPs or singles or whatever the case may be. So as far as like I said, knowing when to drop them, though, I think it's just like I think it's an instinct with me. It's just like you can drop singles, left and right, but then it's like if especially if you're starting to build like a certain type of sound, it's like people kind of expecting like a good little project, where it's like it ain't just one song. It ain't got to keep listening to the same couple songs over and over. Like albums always gonna be albums, no matter what's going on, with the game and shit, and people's preferred method of listening and shit. Like albums always gonna be albums though. So yeah, but what's important about a project as opposed to a single, of course, is like it ain't with a single, the preparation, is pretty much like, all right, I got the single. I'll probably, need to get a cover made for it, and I just gotta pick when I'm gonna release it. And the single gonna do what it's gonna do. Like it's a little different when it come to like a project, because I mean, I guess how many songs you will put on an EP. It's all subject. You know what I mean, but I think even before you pick the amount of songs, it's like you kind of gotta know what direction you going in, like as far as like the theme and the title, especially in my case, like what I try to do is like if I'm putting an EP together, it's like see, when it was back when albums were more songs and we dropped projects with more songs, you might have like an album or a mixtape, that had anywhere from like, shit, at minimum 15 songs, if not more. We really used to drop shit like that, and now it's like we ain't really in them times no more. So like I said, you probably give them anywhere from like I try to do anywhere between like 5 to 8 songs on a project. You know what I mean? But but it's like when I do it, it's like back then, it was like when you had 15 minimum songs, or like yeah, I would say back then it was probably anywhere from like 15 to 20 on a joint. You know what I mean? And it's like you can give them a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? But when you choosing between, 5 to 7 or 8 songs, it's like, do you want to give them all different types of songs, or do you want to keep it all like around like the same theme and the same feel? And I think, what I find myself doing now, being that it is like you pretty much chopping the amount of songs in half or more than half, is like I I try to like for example, this joint, me and Alf dropped the other day. It's all soulful shit, you know what I mean? Like, cause I feel like, I pretty much got like two types of joints I go with as far as like beats go. You gonna get some soulful shit, you know. I can, spit some, real life shit on some concepts and shit, or you might be some, you know, dark, grimy, boom bap where I can, what I mean, just spit some, crazy bars on or whatever. So it's like I try to like I try to split the two up. Like I never, do one type with the other type, on a single project, because it's like I don't have that many songs to do it. And it's like I got to put on a project. I don't have so many songs to put on a project, but I got so many songs I done did, you know what I mean? So it's like even right now I got about shit, I say at the minimum I got like 2, 3 EPs put together, you know what I mean, ready to release whenever, like that's separate from what I just, dropped with Alf the other day. So it's like I just got EPs sitting because it's like I make so many songs, and what I do is I'll listen to all the songs that kind of sound similar and decide if they should all be on a project together, and then that's how I kind of determine, like the theme of the project. Is it going to be the joint with the soulful joints on it, or is it going to be like, the dark, grimy boom bap sound and shit? Like it's really the only two lanes I'm in right now, But so yeah, like I said, with the amount of songs, I pretty much try to keep it between like, probably around like 5 or 6, and no more than 8. But yeah, so after that, like you pick the theme and the title. I mean, the title, you can't. It ain't really no advice I can give about no title. You know what I mean? People gotta name this shit based off of what they feel. There really ain't even nothing I can really say about that. But it's just besides it's just a part of the early process and shit. But like the cover and the track listing is pretty much what you got to figure out after you figure out the theme and the title and how many songs you want to figure out what you're gonna do as far as the cover, which is all subject to the artist. Like I do my own covers now. Once upon a time I did get other graphic designers to do my covers and shit. Track listing, same shit as like a title. Like I think you just kind of gotta go with what you feel is the best flow. With me, I just know in my mind, like what songs sound good after certain songs, and what should be an intro, what should be an outro. It's like it's just an instinct you have, like as an artist. So I think like that's kind of one of them things where it's like I can only explain that so much, but can't nobody even really tell you how you should put your own shit together. I mean, unless you depended on somebody doing that. But I couldn't see that. Like with me and Alf, we agreed on our shit. You know what I mean? Like we laid it out, and it was pretty much similar from the jump, so it wasn't really too much to even shuffle around after that, because we pretty much was going in the same direction. But when I release shit myself, it's like I just know what I feel like, what I mean, should be in the beginning, what should be in the middle, what should be in the end. So, once you figure all that out, it's like, you gotta pick a release date. And I do feel like, when you at any level, like there's certain days that you should focus on, that you should avoid. Like I mean, I can't say what big name rappers should do. I mean, I see what they do, but like they can do what they do because they have reached a certain level. Me myself personally, like there's 2 days of the week that I pretty much try to drop shit on. And they like I try to do it like how the big name artists do it because I feel like that's how you should carry your shit. So it's like I know when I was coming up, like I'm pretty sure it's still the same way. A lot of everything used to get released on Tuesdays and shit. All new albums when I would go to the music store and shit and go buy CDs and cassette tapes and shit. All this shit released on Tuesday. So I just felt like, in a nostalgic way, it's like, I like to release shit on Tuesday or Friday. Like I feel like Friday is a good day, you know what I mean, to release something. Like, see, Tuesday I also feel like it's good because it's like, all right, Monday is gonna be a Monday, you know what I mean. Most people ain't, really feeling Mondays, because it's like, you gotta go back to school, you gotta go back to work, whatever. But like, at least, if you know some good music that you're gonna enjoy is coming out on a Tuesday, it kind of give you something to look forward to on that Monday. You know what I mean? But with the Friday, it's like you already know this shit gonna take you to the weekend and all that. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, how I carry it as far as the release dates. But once again, it's one of them things where it's like to each their own. But once pretty much got all that set for the EP, it's like you would think, what I mean, you probably had to choose like a certain single or a song, what I mean, that you want to promote from that particular project. I think it's kind of like all about, I don't want to say trial and error, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you can just have the instinct and there ain't no error, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever you choose or, like, you're going to make the right choice as to what like with EPs for me, it's like, I try to, promote all of them. And if not all of them, at least like a few of them, like, it kind of just depend on what exactly I'm promoting, you know what I mean? Whether it be like, a piece of content that I made a video of or just like, the song itself, playing or whatever. Like I try to, promote all of them or at least like the ones, what I mean, that I feel, are stronger. And then, I just kind of go from there as far as like, just learning, like from the results and the analytics and the data and all that, what I mean? You kind of see, oh, all right, out of these 5 or 6 songs, this song seems to be doing better than the others, or this song ain't really, hitting too much. So it's like you kind of just, like you can build from the data, you know what I mean? And that's really the type of shit I do, man. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to all this, but it's necessary, if you want to see growth and if you want to make progress and all that, you got to see like, what's not working just as much as what is working and shit. But you know what I mean? So I guess, like that's pretty much, like, how I go into it as far as like, the process of, releasing it and shit. Like I said, to each their own with everybody, but these are just kind of like things I feel like somewhat necessary, if not mandatory, you know what I mean, in the preparation of, an EP. As far as like how often one, should be released, like once again, I think that's like, subject to the artist. With me, I think once again it's an instinct, it's like you just know when it's time, for them to hear another one, like whether it be a month apart, a couple months apart, like, a half a year, like you just kind of know, you know what I mean? But I think, sometimes like waiting a while could be good because it can build that anticipation. That's if you have like, the right following and a large following. But if you just a a random artist on the come up, then it's like I don't think you want to keep nobody waiting too long because if you do, then they'll forget about you, and it's like, but it ain't all about the EP. Sometimes of course singles what I mean can keep people afloat for as long as they need them to and shit like that. But that's a whole nother episode right there for real. And I think just I think the pros. I'll briefly, what I mean. I guess just get into the pros and cons, comparing like the EPs to the singles. What I mean. Of course, like the pros of the EP is it looks better to have like a whole project as opposed to just having however many singles. What I mean. It's like you want to show that you could put like a project together because that if people really a fan of you, then that's what they eventually gonna expect. So it's like you definitely, what I mean. It kind of, make your catalog look a little more solid, I believe. You know, like I said, it kind of give you a little bit of room to try things out as far as like what songs will work better than others. Whereas like the single, it's like a one shot deal. It's either gonna be somebody's type of shit or it's not. But whereas like if you dropping 5-6 songs at a time, it's like all right, they might not like these two, but they'll end up liking these four. Or maybe they don't like one of them. But at least they like one of them, with a single, they might not like the single, and that's that. They just don't like the shit, and they might end up moving on. So it's like, shit like that, of course, is going, be a pro, but it's like, the cons that come with it, it's like, like singles are just so much easier and less, what I mean, like preparation, of course, like, but I guess it all, just depends on, how much you willing to, put into this music shit. You know, um, people have their levels of, how much they willing to work, but, I mean, I guess, I don't really see too many cons to dropping the EP. I mean, I guess sometimes, people might, pull the trigger a little too early, like you might be dropping the EP when you ain't quite really got enough people to really listen to what you got going on, or you ain't built up enough anticipation, I guess. But I don't know, man. I think like I don't think it. When it's your first EP, I don't even think it's really too soon. You know what I mean? I think like it's never really a wrong time, to do that, like to get one, project on under your belt, like a few songs at a time, and just kind of, seeing the results of it, and it may give you better insight on, what to do moving forward and shit. But yeah, other than that, man, like I said, I probably end up making another episode talking about the same type of shit, but with singles though. So shit, if you made it this far and you an artist, I wish you luck. You know what I mean, with everything you release, whether it be an EP or a single. But hopefully, these things will help you. You know what I mean, if you do decide to drop an EP, and even to the producers out there, man, when you're looking to work with artists, it's like, a song is cool, but like shit, you might as well knock out, a couple more, a few more, like, because people do want to hear EPs, it's like, why hear a 3-minute song when you can hear, a good 17, 18 minutes worth of shit that you'll want to play over and over again. Like, I mean, it's kind of the new thing now, like, like, I don't, like I said in the previous episode, I don't think there's really no way you can drop too much music if people actually enjoy your music. I can't speak for them motherfuckers that's just dropping a bunch of trash, like, hey, But on that note, it's been another episode, Not the Average Local Rapper, hosted by yours truly, East Shore Ridge. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. And tune in for the next one, man. yeah, you know how we doing it, man. Not the average local rapper.